Have you watched all the news and updates about Minecon Earth 2018 and you're still confused about what that means for Minecraft server owners? Well, you're in the right place. What is up, my people? My name is Stifflered and welcome back to the cafe, where we talk about tools, tips, and tricks to take your Minecraft creations to the next level. It is time for the Friends of the Server podcast, episode number 8, and today we are going to be talking about Minecon Earth and what it all means for you, a Minecraft server owner. There were so many updates that were announced at Minecon Earth, and it was super exciting to hear what the team at Mojang and Microsoft have in store for us in the next year. That's why I invited my very first guest from the Friends of the Server podcast back to chat about everything that happened during Minecon Earth and everything that was announced, and to see what he thinks that all of this means for Minecraft server owners going forward. How can we prepare? What are the new features going to look like for gameplay on our servers? And what are some things that might happen that might make our jobs a little bit easier? All of that and more was covered in great detail, and I had an excellent conversation with ArZor of DareToSurvive.net, and I think that you will enjoy that conversation coming up in just a few minutes. Before we head into that conversation, though, I did want to thank my patrons. We actually gained a new patron this last week at patreon.com/Stifflered, and that newest patron is Paige, so I want to give a shout out to her, and thank you so much for your support. I also want to give another shout out to that Tahitian guy who upped his donation all the way to $60 a month. He is really supporting this podcast, and he makes it possible. All of you make it possible to keep this podcast going strong. So thank you all so very much. If you aren't familiar with this podcast, I do an interview every week with another server owner or YouTuber or some kind of a Minecraft creator and talk to them about their experiences with the game, managing communities, developing plugins, or other such subjects that might help you run a successful Minecraft server. You can listen in on Spotify, Google Play Podcast, iTunes Podcast, iHeartRadio, and even SoundCloud, or watch along on YouTube with some of the things that we do in the game. If you would like to be a guest in the future episode of the Friends of the Server podcast, it's really easy to submit and apply to be interviewed. Just head over to friendsoftheserver.com and fill out the form at the bottom of the page, and I will definitely gladly get back in touch with you soon. But that's enough for me here in the pre-show. It's time to head over to the DareToSurvive.net server and have a conversation with ArZor about all of what came in Minecon Earth 2018. Thanks so much for watching today, guys, and I will catch you on the other side. What is up, my people? Today we are not on the interview island like you might already be used to, but we are back on server of our first interview guest, ArZor from DareToSurvive.net. And he actually has made quite a few updates since the last time we were here, moving over to 1.13.1. But we're going to get into all of that in just a second. Today, we are going to be chatting about Minecon Earth and 1.14 and 1.15. And ArZor was such a great guest last time, so I wanted to bring him back on. But unfortunately, the interview island is not really available today. We'll bring it back again in the future with some little surprises there. But ArZor, the man of the hour, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good.
I'm a little sore now that you just punched me, but
I didn't expect you to run right up in my face. Sorry.
Well, you know, this server is it's a pretty tough survival server, so I can understand you getting a little bit spooked there. So hey, man, things are looking a little bit different around here. You have updated quite a bit. If you guys didn't listen to my interview with ArZor before, he's actually episode number 1. I'll leave a link in the show notes. You should definitely check that out. But we're not going to talk too much about the server today. But ArZor, if you don't mind, can you talk to me a little bit about what has changed? Why did you change the world? Why is everything so different?
Well, I mean, the transition from 1.12.2 now to 1.13, it was it was rough, like really rough. I tried so many different like little tips and tricks about like how to try to update your world and that, and all these things. And in the end, it was just like, all right, folks, sorry, but like if we really want to have the full experience of 1.13, have the oceans and all those new features, like we can't, like there's no way to like nicely update the world without the oceans looking like garbage. So in the end, just we still wanted it to feel different. And so I kind of pitched the idea like, hey, if since we have to redo the world anyway, how would people feel about giving it a little extra spice? And so, this is a vanilla-esque type world, but still slightly modified. And this is basically the result of having to switch a world. It's just it was not possible.
Well, what was that like with switching the world and making sure all the plugins were compatible? Was that fairly easy of a process to go through and get the plugins updated?
Nope. Like this entire process is it's been a massive headache, lots of bug fixing, incompatibilities. It's been a rough transition, but we're almost there. So it's been about solid. Go ahead. You would say that it's not actually quite there yet?
It's
close. It's tough because so many plugins haven't updated to 1.13. Some of the things that you relied on, we're almost there with like all the core pieces being there, but there's still a few that I'm waiting on.
Yeah, I think that a lot of players sometimes don't quite understand, and a lot of server owners, honestly, don't quite understand that you can't just update a server to the newest versions. There's a lot of work that goes into it. How long did it take you to get to this point?
I pretty much started as soon as 1.13 was announced as far as working on little things that I could. The big one is your actual core server file. That didn't start that wasn't possible for quite a while, even after 1.13 got officially released. Waiting on the development team for the people who actually make the core functionality of your server. That's besides the plugins. But once we actually had that in place, once most of the plugins are actually updated, it's been a solid like 3-4 weeks of just constant finding little problems, trying to fix it. If it didn't work, finding another solution. This is the most effort I've ever put into trying to make an update work.
That's crazy. Yeah, 1.13 was a massive change. It
was practically a brand new server.
Absolutely, yeah. We are still, with my own server, we're actually still in the process of testing everything, making all the custom plugins and non-custom plugins compatible with 1.13.1, and even like Paper Spigot, which is, I think that you use Paper Spigot as well, right?
I did until I've run into some incompatibilities, so temporarily I've switched back to just regular Spigot.
Yeah, we have some compatibility issues with Paper Spigot and 1.13.1, and they're being fixed. But it takes
phantoms.
It takes time. Dang it, phantoms! I just want to sleep.
That was probably me not sleeping that caused it.
Yeah, it's all your fault. It's all your fault. That's okay. That's all right. Well, cool. I think I'm gonna get hit again. Yep. I'm gonna end up dying, I'm sure. I'm gonna switch over now because I want to actually show on screen rather than getting hit by phantoms. I want to show on screen all of the Minecraft.net release notes.
Oh, sure.
And we can just go through that. So I think I'm going to I'm going to leave the server so I don't die. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, you will be able to see right now, I just pulled up the Minecraft.net update article, the announcement article for Minecon. If you aren't familiar with Minecon, Minecon Earth just happened a couple of days ago. No, yesterday. And they use this event every year to share all types of great updates that are planned for the future for Minecraft, and just have a cool time sharing all these different creations. And they announced this year quite a few things that are pretty amazing. And what I wanted to do with ArZor today is talk about what do some of these updates mean for server owners? And then just like, are they going to be cool? Are players going to like them? Are we going to like them? You know, and just chat all about Minecon Earth. So if you aren't watching on YouTube, check out the show notes. There is a link to the announcement page. And there will also be links to the videos where Mojang and the rest of the team shared the announcements about all of these updates that are coming. But ArZor, so what I want to do now is I just want to go down the list here. And you've taken some notes. I've taken some notes. We watched through Minecon Earth. It was a live stream for like 4 hours or something.
Yeah.
And I just want to go through and check out what some of these updates are like and get your perspective, and then talk about what they mean for server owners.
Sounds good.
All right. So the first big thing on their list is village and pillage. And I will say, I'm going to describe it in a second, but I will say that I'm glad that this is at the top of their list, because this is probably my favorite feature that's being updated. This is so cool, and I'm super excited about it. So village and pillage, it's kind of split into two parts, and they say that it's the next Minecraft update. So I'm guessing 1.14.
1.15, but close.
1.15. Okay. That's where I'm confused, because that was my thought, was that it was 1.15, but then here on the page it says the next Minecraft update, and it's like, okay, well, what, is it the next one, or is it the next one after that?
I mean, I could be wrong, but as far as I understood, 1.14 is this holiday update that's going to be coming out by the end of the year, and then 1.15 is next year. Which, when they talked about the village and pillage, they mentioned it would be next year. So that's what leads me to believe it's 1.15.
All right. So this title here, as far as ArZor and I understand, this title where it says the next Minecraft update is not quite accurate, because there will be an update in between now and then. So, well, let's talk about this village and pillage. It's bringing biome-specific villagers, and it's also bringing, it looks like, more villagers, or at least more designs. So there's 12 different designs for the villagers. And it's also bringing pillagers and beasts. Now, we'll talk about pillagers and beasts in just a second. But these new biome-specific villagers look super cool.
They did such a good job on the skins.
They're beautiful. They, like, every different biome that villages are going to spawn in. And I guess they said that there's going to be more variation in the villages as well. If you're in a desert biome, the clothing that the villagers wear is going to be different than if you are in a taiga biome, and the villager clothes there will be different as well. So, yeah, this looks
amazing.
Sweet. I don't know why. Like, it seems like such a subtle change, but it's so cool.
I mean, but it's not just the skins. Like, I like that they're doing. I mean, again, they didn't quite spell. I mean, the one thing they did spell out, I'll start there, is that they're also changing the way the villages themselves look. Like, the architecture is also getting a revamp, which it's needed. Like, villages are ugly. I mean, well, they're just not that great currently in Minecraft. And so they're upping that up, not going too crazy. That's what I liked. It's like, it's enough to give them the little update they need, but not like overly spell out exactly what a village needs to look like. So that a player can have a little more, you know, it's like a hint of like, hey, here's an idea of how to build in this style, but we're not going to tell you like, here's how to play Minecraft. That was huge in their whole like Minecon Earth live stream. It's like they really want it to be like, you make your own game, but like the architecture, the villagers themselves, but then it's even like speculated, well, if there's all these extra professions, are they changing the trades? Like, this could be a way bigger than just a little subtle update.
Yeah. Well, they talked about the AI of the villagers. There was some comment about potentially having schedules that the villagers follow.
Yep.
There really is a lot of potential here for what these new villagers are going to be doing. I definitely like the change in the architecture. I've always found the vanilla architecture to be like the builds of the villages to be fairly bland. I think everybody agrees with that, right? And now to have different blocks that are used for the different villages, depending on desert or taiga and all that is going to be really cool. And I actually pulled up a video here of the announcement, and I'm going to pause it at the sandstone biome, and it looks like okay, so it's desert biome, and you can see the flat roofs and everything, but it also looks like there are sandstone walls there, and so that's cool. That's going to be really nice to have, is sandstone walls. Hopefully that's not a texture pack that's like retexturing it. I would imagine
it looks pretty vanilla, so I'm gonna...
It does.
Yes, we're getting those.
Yeah. So, just like with any other update, it's going to include more blocks and more decoration and build options there. But those sandstone walls look pretty slick. And just the desert builds in general, having those flat roofs, I think is going to be really nice.
Oh, yeah. I'm just excited that we're finally getting an update to Village. I mean, there was that little update that was like, here's a few more. We'll add the nitwit in there, which is, useless. But hey, at least, we started to get like nitwit cartographer, but now it feels like we're really getting the update they deserved.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen for servers that have villages being generated? Is there any kind of gameplay changes that you think that players will lean towards now that villages are going to be so different?
Well, it kind of made it sound like, from at least what I gathered, it made them almost seem like more important to keep villages around and to protect them, like making them a more vital part of the game. Because pretty much, at least now how a lot of my players play, at least how I've played it, is like you find a village to go and raid its bookshelves, to raid its crops, and then check if there's a good villager. But most of the time you just kind of leave them alone after you've taken all their stuff.
Yeah.
So and even then, most people just build a villager breeder. So it's like you're not really interacting much with the villages after you've gotten what you needed from them as you're on your little journey. But it sounds like they're trying to change that and make it a lot more vital, make it more interesting to actually become a part of the village. Like, it almost sounds like you can help make it grow, you can defend it. That's the whole point of the pillagers.
Yeah.
It seems like there's more involvement required for a village, which may not be a bad thing.
Well, and I wonder about a couple of other things too. Like, since there are going to be different biome, designed villagers, will players start trading villagers?
They might, yeah.
Will they try to collect all the different villagers from the different biomes?
Someone will.
Yeah.
Someone will.
Oh, for sure. That'll be really interesting to see. Like, if there's some kind of a villager trading economy going on.
There's so much to speculate because if trades do end up changing, how much? Do villagers in the jungle trade different items than villages in the deserts? There's a lot to guess about, and then I could definitely see people collecting them and trading them. I need a desert villager and I don't have one because I live all the way, a million miles from a desert. And there's just so much that could happen, and I'm just excited to see whatever it ends up being.
It'll be really interesting to see too, if that's the case, if each one of these different biomes has different types of trades or something along those lines. If people will build villager breeders and then complex transportation systems to move villagers in different directions to a specific villager trading hall or something along those lines, and then also kind of moving into the next set, I don't want to talk too much about them, but I wonder too if pillagers being introduced, pillagers and beast, protecting those villagers, is that going to be like, will the pillagers come and attack villages with certain structures? Are they going to come more often with increased villagers? Is that also going to affect villager trading systems or villager breeders that players create? That could be a pretty dangerous setup if you set up villager trading or villager breeder, and then pillagers come around and murder all of your villagers that are in the breeding. Yeah, it would be you do all that work.
My guess, and this is just my own little speculation, is that right now we haven't really. I mean, I may be wrong, but in the past there used to be where where villages would get like zombie invasions, and there's a part that's like, wait, is that gone? I haven't really seen that at 1.13, but then again, like I'm not always near villages at 1.13. Yeah. I'm kind of wondering, like, are they going to replace zombie invasions, and that's what the new pillage is? And so it's just a matter of if there's villagers in an area collectively, like if there's 10 or more villagers, you can have pillagers spawn. Like, honestly, that's my speculation, that it's going to copy very much or mimic the style of those zombie invasions we had. But I don't know.
The zombie invasions definitely do still happen, but that is a good thought, because I had this question yesterday during my live stream, and I was like, why are they introducing pillagers when zombie invasions already happen?
Yeah.
But if it's more replacing that or in addition to, it would be interesting to see exactly what they do there. Now, another part of that question is, all right, well, let me back up real quick and I'll just explain. Pillagers are basically like the illagers of the woodland mansions, but they are roaming around, pillaging villages. And they have with them these massive beasts, and they go into villages. I'm going to play it on YouTube. You can watch along. I'm going to play the part where the pillagers come in. And they come in with these beasts, and they pillage the village, and they kill off all the villagers, and maybe they steal crops. I'm not really sure, but they also have crossbows, and those crossbows apparently can they take longer to load, but they can do more damage. You can have like multi-shot, 3 shots at once. You can launch rockets. And then they say that there are additional enchantments that they aren't going to share on the official notes. So, like, along with your questions of, is it going to replace the zombie invasions? Is it only going to happen if there are more than 10 villagers or 20 villagers or something along those lines? I also wonder if players will be encouraged to set up the villages in such a way that pillagers come.
Almost like force pillagers to come pillage.
Yeah. Like creating a pillager farm so they can farm crossbows and potentially these other these quote top secret enchantments for the crossbows. And what will the beast do?
Yeah, I mean, well, they did mention that crossbows can be crafted, so I don't think it's going to be quite like they drowned and having to make trident farms because you can't craft a trident. So, I mean, maybe it'll be that they carry enchanted crossbows, and it's an easy way to get like pre-enchanted crossbows. I don't know. Like, there's just so much that they're like being mischievous and or just say mysterious about. There we go. That's the right word. But yeah, the beasts are an interesting one. Like, it's a pretty bold move. This much larger mob looks quite different from anything we've seen before. And yeah, I have to wonder, like, okay, is that going to be like a new type of mount? Like, are we going to want to seek after make those pillager farms for the mounts? Like, I almost wonder, like, if the beasts are going to be more the objective than the pillagers themselves.
Yeah, it's a good thought. And, while you were describing that, I also had this thought of, could the pillagers be used to grief? That's a concern for us server owners.
Yep. I'm sure there's going to be some issues there.
Yeah, we might have to come up with some interesting ways as players, but also as server owners to prevent griefing of that sort, because it could be a disaster if somebody builds up this really great villager trading hall and then someone else leaves a door open and lets all the pillagers in to kill them. So, oh man, that could be.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think. Well, to be honest, I don't know. I mean, yes, there can definitely be some concerns, but I feel like the servers that are intended to not have griefing already have enough systems in place. Like they don't have, like we have in vanilla, where animals can trample the crops. But a lot of servers have protected against that just by the nature of they don't want griefing. So like players can't trample them. Players can't take their pets and trample other players' crops. I do speculate there's going to be probably a need for some change. But if you're already playing on a server that has protection against griefing, I'm hopeful that it should pretty much be taken care of.
Yeah, somebody will have to. It is inevitable that somebody will have to come up with a solution. I think that my concern is, like, some people may say, well, we already have zombie invasions and zombies can already be used to grief villagers, but there are ways to protect against zombies. Put up walls, put up glass, put up fences, whatever, and then the zombies can't attack the villagers. Yeah. But these pillagers are quite different because
they're smarter,
They're smarter and they have crossbows. They are ranged attacks. And so you can't just put up a cobblestone wall, which will protect a villager from a zombie, because that cobblestone wall will not stop an arrow from being fired by the pillager and kill
up and over,
the villager. So I think that griefing is going to be, it's possibly a little bit trickier to prevent, but I would hope, and I'm optimistic that somebody will come up with some kind of a solution for servers that still want to have pillagers, but they want to also prevent griefing. Maybe grief prevention, that spigot plugin, grief prevention. Maybe they
get a little
have
update
regions where pillagers will not enter that region or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
be interesting.
I'm hopeful. I mean, it's always amazing the community that is. I mean, Minecraft is just this gigantic group of people all trying to work together to solve and create content. So I'm sure, I have no doubt in my mind that if it does become an issue, some clever person out there is gonna, save the day for us all.
Yeah. Do you have any last thoughts about villagers and pillagers and beasts and crossbows before we move on?
Honestly, it's pretty much just a matter of wait and see. Like we got a little teaser, but I feel like there's just so much they're not telling us. Yeah. And I think, it's just a matter of it's enough to like make us excited, but the actual thing is going to be so much better than just what we saw.
Yeah. Crossbows, I will make one last comment. Crossbows could really change PvP quite a bit.
Definitely. Yeah. I think that's going to be a huge factor.
Especially if they, you can add those enchantments of multi-shot, fast load, or, if they do an incredible amount of damage, that could be really interesting to see that change coming for PvP servers.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the next thing. We got cuteness overload is what they say. Pandas, the big new mob, literally the big new mob. Now, there's a lot that's actually coming with pandas besides the fact that they're going to exist. Pandas are going to apparently have unique characteristics. And they will, so some of them will act different than others, kind of like how horses, some of them are faster, they can jump higher, have more or less health. So pandas are going to have different characteristics and act in different ways. Besides that, though, what else do you think is going on with pandas? How do you feel about adding pandas in?
Well, I mean, the part that I wanted them to hopefully talk about more is like, what's their usefulness? Like, what? Yeah. I mean, it was always mentioned, and it was kind of a reoccurring theme, especially if you stayed around to watch the developer panel. One guy in particular was saying how, in adding anything to the game, some of their most important things that they ask is, what's the reason for it? Is it useful? And, is it unique? And so yes, the panda is unique. It seems like they're I don't know. I kind of wonder, okay, pandas are cute, but like, what do they do? Like, why would a player want to go out and find them? Like, are they going to have a special drop? Are they going to be like another food source? As sad as that sounds, you know?
Yeah.
We kind of got this little thing of like, as best I can guess, they're kind of like a cute pet, but that's about it. So I'm wondering what more there is to pandas that we don't know.
So pets were definitely on the table. They mentioned, being pets, and I've talked with some other players who are like, I would love one as a pet. But I had a thought as well, because if you look at the screenshot, there are bamboo pieces laying around them. I wonder if pandas can be used to almost create an automatic bamboo farm if you wanted to get a lot of bamboo. So they go over to a bamboo shoot or a tree and they break it down, and it breaks down all of the bamboo up to the top, because that's another thing, is that they're adding in scaffolding, which is used with, or bamboo is used to create scaffolding. So you break the bottom block and it cuts down all of the bamboo and all of the scaffolding above it. So I was thinking that maybe the pandas could be used to create an automatic bamboo farm.
If that was the case, that would just, I like how Minecraft always has that little bit of it that like is kind of intuitive, like, oh yeah, that just makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like pandas being able to do that fits that bill perfectly. Like, yeah, that makes sense. That ticks that box of they're useful. You know?
Yeah.
So I mean, that would be I would love to see that.
Be really interesting to see that implemented. I didn't catch this. I unfortunately had to skip around a little bit. I missed some of the stuff because of work and all that. But did they mention if the bamboo is going to have a height limit?
They didn't. I honestly don't know if there will be one. It might be. Well, they did make a height limit for kelp of 25. Yeah. So I wonder if maybe there's some magical number of 25, but they never said. So it's just pure speculation.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, and that could also play in with the different characteristics and attitudes of the pandas. Maybe some of them are hungrier, and so they will knock down more bamboo trees to eat them, and so they might be better at growing or creating an automatic farm. Or maybe some of them don't knock it down, so then the bamboo trees get taller, and so you want those ones instead. Like there's so many different options there for what could be possible, but I could be entirely wrong too. Like they also just might not tear down bamboo trees at all, and I'm just making things up.
Or it's one of those things where they didn't plan on it, but you get enough people saying it's as a suggestion, you never know.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. And then they also mentioned more cats, and I guess cats are going to be separate from ocelots, is what I understand. What do you think about adding more cats?
I think it's funny. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know how useful it is, but hey, there's lots of people that love cats. I just feel like all those people that love the wolves more than the cats are going to be like, okay, come on, where's wolves? We want a whole bunch of new dogs now.
Yeah.
Like the cat lovers got their cats.
Yep.
I think it's just cool. I mean, it's kind of a silly little thing, but hey, gives the game more character, more life.
Yeah, and it's probably one of those things where there's not too much of a usefulness, but it's a matter of the usefulness. The box that they're checking off there is, will it get players addicted to playing the game and collecting all the cats? And
for sure,
yes, it will do that. I've talked with a couple of other server owners and other people, and just thinking about how we as server owners, we aren't just competing with other servers, we are competing with other games. And when other games have those addictive qualities to them, which I hate the word addictive, but that is what it is, right?
I like to think of it as more like what holds someone's attention. I think it's a better way of putting it. Like if you run out of things to do, if you stop being inspired, then you'll probably move on. And so I think that's really what Minecraft is trying to do, is always give people more content that it's less likely for them to move on. Like keep inspiring them.
That is definitely a good way to put it. So attention grabbing and inspiring and engaging. And and so the cats in that sense, I'm fine with them. I'm not.
I think it's a silly little addition, but it's fun. Like not everything has to be serious.
Yep, totally. Cool. Well, let's move on to the next thing. I'm actually going to skip over Minecraft Dungeons. I will say I'm super, super pumped about Minecraft Dungeons. I have wanted a dungeon crawler for a long time, but it has nothing to do with being a Minecraft server owner. So unless you want to say anything, by all means, jump in and give your opinion on it.
I just think it's funny because that's something that I've been trying to like start pushing my server towards actually becoming. And it's just funny that they're like, there's enough. I mean, it's good news for me because it means that there's enough people that are already hyped enough for, you know, a dungeon type style server that I'm like, all right, I wasn't even imagining that would ever be something that Minecraft would add, but it's just kind of funny that like it just so happens to fit into like what I was already hoping to create.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that is cool. And you know what's interesting about this trailer is they show off the new villagers at one point, and which is nice, and it looks super cool. And you're right that, you know, if people are interested in it, they're excited about it, then that's why Microsoft and Mojang are going to develop this type of game. So a server like yours might really do well. And I wonder how many players are going to be looking for dungeon crawler type servers on Java or Bedrock to play because they can't get Minecraft Dungeons. You know, they have Java, so they're going to join DareToSurvive or some other server until they can one day get Dungeons. So
who knows? It might become like the new factions. I doubt it. But who knows?
Yeah, but there could be an opportunity there, guys. Like some of you server owners who are listening and you're like, what am I going to make my server like? There could potentially be an opportunity here to create a Dungeons styled server ahead of time and then kind of ride that hype train.
I mean, I think you make a valid point. Mojang isn't dumb. They wouldn't make something if there wasn't a desire or, you know, a significant amount of interest in something.
Yeah.
So
we will certainly see. All right, next on the list is additional add-ons. There's not really any kind of picture or anything to see here, but add-ons, API, scripting API. What is this all about? ArZor, what do you think about the add-ons? Do you have any thoughts at all? I think that this is mostly for Bedrock.
As far as I understand, it's only for Bedrock.
Right.
So it's not. I don't honestly like. I don't have much to say because like Bedrock is so not my world. Like I really don't know anything about Bedrock. I've never touched Bedrock.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks cool. Like it's kind of one of those things where like I'm almost a little bit jealous of Bedrock because like holy smokes, that would be amazing if Java had something like that. Yeah. But that's about it. Like I mean, I think it's gonna open up so much possibilities. It's for those Bedrock folks, but as far as what it is, I don't fully understand. Like, yeah, it's hard for me to say too much about it because it's just not something I have a lot of experience with.
Yeah, so I'll just explain a couple of quick things here with this, and I think that this is important for Java server owners to consider. But let me just explain it. So they have the scripting API that they're working on. They say it's now closer than ever. So, you know, you can change up you have your scripting API, you can change up the AI, you can do a lot of really cool custom things with your server. And especially because they just released Bedrock servers, which I actually set up my own Bedrock server about 2 weeks ago. I have a Bedrock Anarchy server now, just for playing around with and seeing what Bedrock is like. Because I'm like you, I have had no experience with Bedrock whatsoever. And so now, like with the scripting API, we can modify those servers. They have data-driven spawning to control which mobs spawn in the world, how often, where they spawn, and all that. They have new entities that you can use to add custom mobs. So they actually showed that they were adding in scorpions. They were adding in like these, they called it a Skeletor, where it was a skeleton body, but then a horse torso, and, you know, it would run and kick and shoot arrows. And there were like these giants, these massive like torsoed human but spider body monsters, and then little itty tiny baby spiders the size of the baby turtles. Like they showed off a lot of stuff, and then of course they also showed off some particle effects with the mobs that you can modify, you can customize. And that all looks super cool. And like you, I'm like, wow, am I jealous of Bedrock? Like, is this something that I want to try out? And they're going to be releasing this to Minecraft beta on October 3rd.
Probably gave us a date. Wow.
Yeah. Yep. October 3rd. You have to join the Minecraft beta, which I'm going to do. You know what? I think that this is important just to think about, because we have speculated a lot. A lot of server owners talk about this. Is Java going to get the short end of the stick, right? Is Java going to be put aside for Bedrock? And there has been speculation about how Minecraft or Mojang and Microsoft are promoting Bedrock more, and they're doing more development on it, and they're leaving Java in the dust. And the reason why people have been concerned about that is because Java is like, that's the tool that we can use to make custom servers and really customize a lot of things and make unique gameplay experiences for our players. But with this change, with the fact that they released the Bedrock server a couple of weeks ago, and for server owners to launch their own dedicated servers, not realms. I'm not talking about realms with 10 players. I'm talking about an official servers. Yeah. Just like, your Minecraft Java servers. And now the scripting API and, data-driven spawning, new entities, animations, particles, all this stuff. This could open up the door for Java server owners to move over to Bedrock, to tap into that massive audience that is there. And because it's huge, there are millions of Bedrock players. And of course, you have it on Switch, you have it on Xbox, you have it on Windows, you have it on mobile. So like
pretty much anything that's not a computer is Bedrock. Yeah.
I am seeing this as a huge opportunity. And this is honestly why I got Bedrock a couple weeks ago, because I was like, something like there's going to be a point when I will want to move over to Bedrock. And reading all of this stuff makes me think, okay, now is the time to start learning about Bedrock and learning about the development over there, because it might be sooner rather than later to move over to having a server on Bedrock. What do you think about all of that?
Well, I mean, maybe this is just my nostalgia, but like, I honestly I couldn't imagine switching to Bedrock. Like, maybe that'll end up being a hindrance. I hope not, but it doesn't really, like, I don't know. There's that part of like knowing more like behind the scenes what goes into making Bedrock, or I should say like making changes to Bedrock versus Java. Because the code base behind Bedrock is just so much more clean than Java, it allows them to have so much more freedom to not be as bottlenecked by supporting old versions. Like, one thing that was mentioned in the development panel, or the developers panel, was like, we have NBT data in Java where they don't have that in Bedrock. And one of the biggest reasons for not adding it to Bedrock is because it like pigeonholes them. They are now stuck with this old technology basically, and they never really intended for people to become so dependent on it, but they are now. And so Java has a hard time of like having such crazy updates because they have certain things that they can't break. Like, it's, as they mentioned, it's really hard once you add a feature to take it away. It's pretty much impossible. Like, people are going to get like crazy upset about it. So I think it's not so much that like, oh, we need to switch to Bedrock, Java's getting left behind. I think it just takes a lot more work to add as crazy of updates to Java. Doesn't mean they're not going to happen. I honestly, I see it more as my hope is that it becomes one big giant group of, you can play anywhere with anything. my hope and the way I would like to see it go is that Bedrock players can play on Java servers, where you can, no matter where you are, if you're a Java player, you can start playing on Bedrock servers. Like everything just becomes accessible to everyone. And that way you don't have to do like a move to a Bedrock server. Like it's just another option.
Well, like there's interesting, I mean, that would be nice. I don't know how possible that is. I will say you did mention everything that isn't a PC is on Bedrock, but PC is also Bedrock. There is a Windows 10 Bedrock version of Minecraft. And so
that's true.
I do wonder what would be more worth it for Mojang to do. Are they going to create a system that bridges that gap between Java and Bedrock? Or are they going to keep making updates to Bedrock to slowly entice server owners to move over, or to make a second server for Bedrock? See, because like what I'm going to be doing, what I'm looking into doing, I'm not moving to Bedrock, but I am thinking about having a second server with a lot of the same. Yeah, exactly. Having two different servers, one on Bedrock, one on Java, and
I'm amazed that you're even considering that, because man, running one server is hard enough.
Yeah, I'm a little bit crazy. I don't know if it'll work, but I'm just really curious to see, in the end, because server owners can be really opinionated.
For sure.
And one of the reasons I like chatting with you is because you have an opinion, but you don't say things like, Mojang, you're so stupid for doing this, like maybe you say it. But
I mean, every single time like Mojang announces some update, I always hear all this criticism of Mojang and how, like, especially when Microsoft took over, like, oh, Microsoft's going to ruin, Minecraft, and Mojang doesn't care and they don't listen to our players. But every single time they release an update, it's just so apparent that is so far from the truth.
Yep.
Like, I don't know why people keep this like hearsay going.
Yeah.
There's just nothing to support it. And yet it's this common thing that people say. And I'm like, where do you get that they don't listen? Where do you get that they're like, that Microsoft is like a bad thing that happened to Mojang? Like, seriously, the amount of updates we've gotten since is ridiculous. Like how much Minecraft has been made better since that whole like buyout. Like, it's just like, wait, if we actually look at what happened, honestly, I don't see it as a bad thing. Like, maybe some people are upset because, on their ad spots, like they're getting penny and dime microtransactions, but that's kind of just games in general. But those are all like options. You don't have to. Like, yes, Microsoft like increased the marketing and like the, maybe like
they
monetized it more.
Yeah,
but
they did add in the microtransactions and all of that.
But honestly, I really find it hard to have anything bad to say, just because every single time that there's any update, it's just, it's crazy to me.
Yep.
Like, of course they listen to players.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's clear that they care about the game. And I almost like, sometimes I hear these complaints from server owners. No offense to any server owners out there, but sometimes I hear these complaints from server owners, and they'll say Minecraft or Microsoft cares more about Bedrock than they do about Java. And with this update here, I have to ask the question. Nostalgia is one thing, familiarity is one thing. The fact that there are Java servers that have put in a ton of money and a ton of development into creating their unique experiences is all very, very valid. But for people who
it's kind of scary.
It is. Well, and I would say that they're probably not going to drop Java. It's not going to be like all of a sudden one day none of those servers are going to work. But if they enhance Bedrock and make it more possible for server owners to get started on Bedrock, I don't know if that's a bad thing.
It probably isn't. I mean, especially if you have all that experience from running Java, like that's just going to give you a huge leg up of anything.
Huge. So like we can take this as a negative, oh, like they don't want to help me. I'm on Java. They only want to help Bedrock. Well, to me, it's like, well, I now have, over a year and a half of experience with running a Java server. I can take that experience and probably launch a Bedrock server and do some dope stuff with the new APIs and everything. And again,
change is always hard.
Change is hard. But again, the untapped potential of the fact that there are not Bedrock servers, not on a massive scale anyway. And there's this old story. It's a terrible story. I want to preface this comment with the fact that this is a terrible story. There's a little bit of underhanded potential like racism in it. And so I apologize for that. I just want to point that out first. But there's this old story of two shoe salesmen who went to a village in the depths of the Amazon. And one shoe salesman went into the village in the depths of the Amazon, and he went back home and he said, bad news, nobody there wears any shoes. The other shoe salesman came back and he said, great news, nobody has any shoes yet. And so there's this difference in perspective of like, we could look at Bedrock players and be like, nobody plays on any servers. Well, that's because servers have not existed until now. We can say like, nobody's made any custom cool Bedrock servers. Well, that's because we haven't had the APIs to do it until now. And so this might be a huge opportunity for Java players. This might be enticing to Java players to move over, and it may be enticing to server owners as well. Now, I am a Java guy. I am not a Bedrock guy. Yeah. All I'm saying is that the possibilities are there, and I'm curious to know what happens. I'm really curious.
Yeah, I honestly, it's been this reoccurring thing. We're always so scared of the change. We're always so worried about what's going to happen next. And yet look at where Minecraft is now. Like, it hasn't died. It hasn't gone anywhere. There's still loads of interest. Like, we have all these fears, and yet it seems like so often we're wrong.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty much just like, wait and see what happens. Like, that's all we can do. And more often than not, it's probably going to be a great thing.
Yep. Totally.
So... yeah.
Let's move on to the next bit. And really, I don't think we have a whole lot that needs to be said. Of course, I said that about the last section, and we ended up talking about it for like 20 minutes. The winning biome is Taiga. So they had the vote up for the next biome to get an overhaul: Taiga, Desert, and Savanna. Taiga will be the next biome updated, but it's not going to be the only biome updated. So, we'll see.
I'm so glad they said that. Like, me too. I know a lot of people were concerned, like, oh, do we only get one? Like the whole thing with the phantoms, and now we don't get the other ones. But no, it's just a matter of order.
Yep. So Desert and Savanna will come eventually, and probably some other biomes as well. Do you think Taiga's a good choice?
I mean, I was sad because I was really hoping for the Savanna, to be honest. Like, I don't know, in my head, I had this like giant like discussion and battle. It was so silly, but I was like, oh man, okay, so let's see. The Desert, I mean, no offense to Mojang, but it looked pretty weak. Like, okay, palm trees and meerkats. Like, it seemed the most lackluster of the three that they proposed.
Yeah.
So already, like, I had no doubt that Desert wouldn't be chosen. Like, I don't know. It's not that they doesn't, like, honestly, I feel like it's the biome that needs it the most, but just what was proposed wasn't enough to convince players.
Yeah.
So that made sense to me. But then it was like, okay, Savanna and Taiga, those are like my two in my head. They're like, these could be potentials. And for me, like, I don't know, the big thing is I always like new trees. Always. Like, wood in Minecraft and builds is just like so fundamental that like having another option was awesome. And they looked cool. Like, they looked like they'd be a big tree, maybe like a mega spruce. Like, they looked like a really nice new addition for a tree. Savanna needs an update as well. So it's like, okay, this is a biome that needs it, especially because like the Taiga already feels pretty good. Like, I'm pretty happy with how they are now. Like, there's a lot going on. They're very colorful. Like, I honestly didn't think they needed an update. But Savanna is pretty flat and kind of empty. So I was like, that made sense. And then, the termites, I was actually pretty excited to see, like, okay, what is this all about? Like, oh gosh, are we gonna have to protect our houses from termites?
Yeah.
And no, it just, there was enough there that I was like, okay, this is not only a biome that needs it, but there was enough there to be like, okay, yeah, this looks cool. But Taiga, the foxes, I think they were too cute to resist. So
yeah, I'll say I was really excited and hoping to see Savannah as the owner of Tree Crafters, right? So my server is all about trees. I was excited for termites because I thought that could be a really interesting challenge for players to have to go up against, since they all have to have trees. And but I guess we'll say. It's still gonna happen. It's just might take a while. Eventually. I did not vote.
Did you not?
I did not vote, and my pick did not win. So I will most certainly vote next time, and we'll just.
But honestly, Taiga just landslided all the other ones. Yeah. It was like 60 to 30%. Like, it was a clear deciding vote. There was no iffy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll get Savannah eventually, but Taiga, updating any biome at all is going to be great. So
of course,
I'm looking forward to that.
And honestly, the campfires, the more I think about what might be possible, it actually sounds like a pretty amazing addition if they are what I'm hoping they are. There's just so much that could be done.
Yeah, definitely. Any kind of aesthetic updates too are just really nice. Just campfires in general. In fact, on my server, I have a piece of furniture that looks like a campfire, and it's just nice to have. Yeah. Okay, Inspiration Island is the next update on the list, and they talk about Bedrock. It's just for Bedrock. It's for the Minecraft marketplace. For people to check out. I don't know if there's too much to say there, except I do like that the Minecraft marketplace exists. I like that there is a way for creators to build things and then sell their creations, and that's something that I have thought about. I'm like, I wonder if there's opportunity there for people who want to, make Minecraft more of like a job. I have no clue.
I don't know. It's interesting, to say the least.
Yep.
I'm just glad that all these things that they did propose for the marketplace, they're really about the community. Again, back to the whole thing, they care, they listen to their players, they're wanting to make the game the best experience possible. Inspiration Island was all about that. Hey, we're not trying to make money, we're just trying to teach players more ways to play the game.
Yep. And inspiration is key. I talk a lot about how I go and watch other YouTubers because I learn so much, and I join other servers because I learn so much just from going and seeing what other people can do. And so the fact that Inspiration Island exists and shows off creations, it just sounds really cool. I'm interested in checking it out. I do, back to that thought about having the marketplace. I am not a builder. I'm not a good builder. I will never be able to build something and sell it as a piece of marketplace content. But I appreciate, like you say, how Microsoft has the ability for creators and the community to also, they get to make a few bucks here and there with their creations by selling their content in the marketplace. It's not just going to Microsoft, but it's also going to those creators. And that is a testament to, the community driven aspect and the community driven side. So I appreciate that too. Most definitely. Okay. So that pretty much sums everything up that is on their release notes here.
Yes.
We're coming into the last few minutes here. What other thoughts do you have about anything that maybe we didn't cover?
I feel like there was a lot of Easter eggs, and maybe I just want to touch on a few of those. There's so much.
Run through them.
So we barely even touched scaffolding.
Yeah.
But holy smokes, yes, thank you. No more stupid dirt pillars. That's going to be amazing. It's just this little thing that we barely even talked about, but that is huge. Then there was just the fact that they break so easily. And another little Easter egg that I thought was kind of cool that is kind of like got thrown in there is that like the Phantoms, they're cool. We were like excited for them, but they're kind of becoming like, I don't know, at least on my server, people are like annoyed by the Phantoms. They're a nuisance. They're like, oh, great, freaking Phantoms, you know? Yeah. And so like they're giving us a way to defend against the Phantoms a little bit more. They squeezed it in there, but they said that Phantoms are going to be scared of cats. So they're adding all those new cats to maybe entice people to be like, get your cats more, defend against the Phantoms. Like, it's a pretty smart move. And they also said like the cats would bring you gifts. They didn't say what, but they did say they'd bring you gifts. So again, like they're encouraging players to get cats. We don't know why fully, but like it seems like cats are going to be a pretty cool thing. In the developer update, there was like a question asked about like, are you guys ever going to add like a brown mushroom? Yeah. And they didn't say yes, but they didn't say no.
Yeah, and I've seen on Twitter, there's a half the team on Mojang, they are saying that they are team brown mushroom, and half of them are saying, no brown mushroom. And there's like this battle on Twitter right now about that, which is funny.
And then from a server standpoint, like it was again, a lot of these Easter eggs I'm going to mention came from sticking around for the post show and the developer. One thing that was like really exciting to me, maybe it's just kind of like a silly little thing, because as a server it was exciting, but as a player, like they don't really care, I mean, they do care, but they just don't know why. Yeah. So like they mentioned how the rendering engine is getting a huge like update and optimization. So it just means like to me as a server owner, like my server is going to run even better. Like they aren't just adding content, they are optimizing. People, every time any game gets updated, you're always having those people about like optimize, don't update. There's always that other side where people would rather see optimizations than updates. Yeah. And I'm glad to see that they don't, I think it's just because it doesn't make for good show that they don't mention it, but they are still doing it. Like it's not their highlight, but it doesn't mean it's not happening.
Yeah, it's not flashy, and it's a bummer that sort of thing is not appreciated by players as much, because it is super important. But I agree that that's a great thing to see, that they are going to, have those optimizations.
Yeah, so I like that. They even touched a little bit like, is there any hope for the furnace minecart or the minecart? Yep. And it's funny because like it seems like this has no place in Minecraft, but it's just so old that they can't remove it. Yeah. But funny enough, like I actually watched a video. I think it was Doc M77 who made this video about like, here's how you. No, I take it back. It wasn't him. It was
Ilmango. Of course, did it.
Ilmango. Yep. He made a video about like, here's your one use for your furnace Minecrafts. They do serve a purpose.
Yeah. It's like a diagonal direction TNT duper, the third lane of a multi. Like it was
nuts. But I mean, you're like, okay. But it was funny that they talked about it. But what I really got out of that was that like, they do want to redo the Minecraft or the minecart system of transportation, which, I mean, whether it takes a couple updates, it's at least in their line of sight. Yeah. Like it is something that we could see happen, which I'm excited for, because especially when I started making that to go back, like when I made that transition to 1.13, something that it's just become so commonplace that it's a little rough for some of my players to get used to. But like, I really made this bold decision to not have lots of ways to teleport or set homes or just jump warps, jump around the server. Because like Minecraft is a game of creativity, inspiration, and also exploration, which a lot of servers get rid of. By having this way of just jumping around the server all the place. So like, at least for my server, like I'm like, all right, they are thinking about ways of just people who want a more vanilla experience to still get around. Yeah. Like we got the blue ice. Maybe we're going to see some updates to minecarts. So that was kind of a little fun Easter egg. And like weather. They also barely mentioned like, are we going to see more weather changes? Which I think is cool. Like shooting stars, or there's all these little like speculations, all these little like hidden updates, but I'm already excited about the update, and it just seems like there's so much more that can come in the future.
Yeah.
Like there's just a never-ending wealth of updates that can and will be happening.
I think that overall 1.13 breathed a lot of life back into being excited about Minecraft again, and they are making the right moves to keep that excitement running strong. Yeah, keep that hype up. So I'm excited about all of this. There's certainly going to be some challenges for Minecraft server owners. I'm gonna do the sign off here now. So ArZor, if you want to like teleport to me, that way I can see you one last time. But
I think that just the last final thing would be that like we had such a rough transition to 1.13 as we mentioned in the beginning. I don't think we're going to have that rough transition now that the groundwork has been laid. I'm actually really excited to update to the more later updates. I think they're going to be so much simpler than going from 1.12 to 1.13. Yeah. I don't see that being an issue of 1.13 to 1.14. Yeah,
most definitely.
So I'm excited.
Most definitely agree with that. There might be some little caveats there. If we move into that and you don't have the new taigas generated, then you might have to regenerate some taiga biomes, or to get maybe the new bamboo to start being naturally generated. But it's not going to be the massive headache that moving to 1.13 has been. Like, this has just been way too much.
Oh my gosh.
But we're doing it. So I am excited. I'm glad that you're excited. ArZor, thanks so much for hanging out with me today.
Always. I'm happy to do so.
This has been great. Obviously, Minecon has been great. Like I said, guys, I'm gonna leave some description or some links down in the description to ArZor's server and Discord and all that. ArZor, if you don't mind, can you just mention a couple of ways that people might be able to find you, get on your server, and all that?
Sure. Really, it's a really simple way to connect. The name of the server is pretty much the IP, DareToSurvive.net. Type that into wherever your multiplayer when you go to connect to a server. Other than that, we're on Discord, but that's about it. Discord is where we connect with each other and here in the game.
Cool. Thank you so much, ArZor. I'm going to leave those links down in the description in the show notes. And thank you to the rest of you as well for joining in today and listening through this podcast episode. If you have any thoughts about the future of Minecraft, 1.14 and 1.15, bamboo, pandas, do you have a favorite cat idea, like a design that you would love to see added into Minecraft? Let me know in the comments, in an email, on Twitter, or anywhere at all. You can definitely reach out to me, and I look forward to chatting with you. But this has been a great episode, and we have many more exciting episodes to come in the future. Thanks again for watching today, guys. I look forward to chatting with you again soon. Peace.